With the rework of night vision and IR modes on tactical devices, there seems to be a lot of confusion in the community about which devices and modes are still giving that improved point-fire accuracy buff. And I'm here to show you today that almost all devices and modes are still acting as they have in previous wipes, despite IR being completely invisible to the naked eye. It's still giving that accuracy buff, and if you don't believe me, stick around for the tests. Let's jump into it. If you're just looking for a quick TLDR, I'll just let you know that almost any tactical device and any mode on that device works exactly the same way to improve that point fire accuracy. The only devices I can guarantee don't improve it are the Predator Pro and the Ultrafire WF501B flashlights. But for some reason, the new Insight tactical flashlight that has an IR mode does actually increase point fire accuracy as well, so it doesn't really follow the same rules as the other flashlights. The NC Star laser does work, and the TT only goes on the TT pistol, so it doesn't really matter. And every device within tactical combo devices works exactly the same way. Doesn't matter what mode you're on, as long as the device is on, you will be getting that buff. For some reason, even some of these devices that are only flashlight, like the Zenit Klesh, are still giving that buff. So the rules for these devices are very inconsistent, and I could totally see new players being very confused by the concept. So here I'm going to show you a few different spray patterns with the ANPEQ15 on the Scar L, and these are all uncontrolled. First, let's start with off. You can see how the spray has really no predictive pattern, where it goes below the line and right back up to the top. It's very erratic, and even worse on other guns. So next we'll go ahead and use a regular laser and see how that pattern is. As you can see, it stays very consistent with the laser and is very controllable. So next, let's go ahead and try one of the IR lasers. Remember, this is only visible to night vision goggles, so it's invisible to the naked eye if you're running it during the day. Even though we don't have a laser to reference, you can see how the shots are really hitting center mass, similar to that of the laser. So obviously these spray patterns are not going to be 100% alike. That is because there's some randomness and the gun is deteriorating as I'm using it during these tests. But you can tell that it's very different than when the device is off. I've heard a lot of players say that IR devices do nothing for point fire accuracy, and that's just plain wrong. Whether each device and mode has different degrees of accuracy improvement, that I don't know, but one thing's for sure, IR definitely increases point fire accuracy. That goes for the IR searchlight or the IR laser, both being completely invisible to the naked eye, which makes them extremely good to always have on your gun. And like I mentioned before, as long as you have one of these tactical devices turned on your gun, it will improve the point fire accuracy. So I'll take it a step further and show you the Raptor rangefinder. In the rangefinder mode, no lasers on at all, and it still increases that point fire accuracy. Once again, it's much more controlled than with the no device at all, but it does have a little deviation from the center, and I don't know if that's from deterioration or the device mode has different stats. That's one thing I just don't know for sure. But what I do know for sure is you should always have a device on at all times, regardless if it's laser or an IR light or a flashlight. It should always be on while you're point fire shooting. If not, you're gonna have a very erratic sprays. So I have a few recommendations for what devices you should be using. The first one I recommend is the new Insight WMX200. It's the flashlight with the IR flashlight as well. This is the cheapest recommendation I have, but it does come from mechanic level 3. The reason I like it is because you could always have it on with the IR searchlight and stay hidden while always staying accurate, and then you could quickly swap to a flashlight while you're clearing an area or you want to blind somebody. My favorite setup is actually two different devices. This is kind of strange and you don't see a lot of people doing it. I really like the laser light combos like the X400 or the new Balder Pro, which is only 9K. And for my IR laser, I like to use the ANPEQ, which is also around 9 to 10K. There is a little bit of a setup to use this device and it can be annoying for certain players. What you have to do is turn the laser light combo on or whatever the first device is on in raid, and then pop on the second device. This will give the devices alternating power cycles, so with the click of a button, you could swap to the IR over to the flashlight. It's really convenient and you never really have to worry about what mode you're on. Unfortunately, this does have to be set up in raid because the shooting range does not retain tactical device settings, so it's a little annoying to do. Two extra little tips for this setup. If you want to check if the ANPEQ is on, all you have to do is inspect the device after you've put it on and alternated the power cycle, and rotate it to see if the IR flashlight is illuminating that circle. And that's only because the IR laser doesn't actually illuminate anything, so it's just hard to confirm that it's on. So as long as you alternated the power cycles like I told you, you should be fine and you don't actually have to check this every time. So with this setup, no matter what device is on, you can be confident that you'll be point fire accurate. One more thing to take note of, right now the IR searchlights are creating a red glare on reflective surfaces. This can only be seen in your scope, so if you have a 1X, you're not even gonna see it. And I don't know if other players can see it, but right now I would stick with the IR lasers to be safe. And the last device I recommend is the D-Ball PL. It's the most popular device and has been for several wipes. And the reason why is because it has almost every device mode. I think the only thing it lacks is a red laser right now. And the only reason I don't really like it is because you have to cycle so much to get to what you want, and it's just a little bit confusing. If you want to just quickly turn on a flashlight or quickly turn on a laser, you have to click so many times to get to where you want to be. So I like something a little bit more predictive rather than this setup. But I do recommend it for people that don't really want to do a lot of setup at the beginning of a raid. So there you have it, guys. That's everything you need to know about the point fire accuracy and how devices affect that spread. So be sure to spread the good word to your friends, because a lot of people don't think the IR has any use in daytime, but it surely does. Hope you guys learned something new today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.